Welcome back to the All Lady Vol Show, brought to you by the Lady Vol Boost Her Club and sponsored by Orange Mountain Designs, your one-stop shop for all things Lady Vol gear. If you don't know what the Lady Vol Boost Her Club is, it's the premier NIL collective for all 9 Lady Vol sports. All right, Lady Vol fans, I'm sure you know who is next to me. She has been your 4 years on the basketball team. Sara Puckett, welcome to the All Lady Vol Show. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. In the midst of a season,
Yeah.
How do you stay recovered, rested in order to play as many games as you guys do?
I definitely have to prioritize it right after practice. Make sure I'm getting some protein in so that my body still feels good and everything. Do the cold tubs, hot tubs, whatever it is to make my body feel good. And then off days we have massages, so that helps. And then for my mental health, I just try to do things like my nails just to keep me, grounded and know that I got something done that I wanted to do as well. So those are just a few things I do personally.
Absolutely. You've been here for 4 years, so you know it all.
Yes.
You know it all.
I would say I
and
do.
You're originally from Alabama. She has been on a show before, but for those who haven't watched, can you tell us why you chose Tennessee in the first place? Being from Alabama, we know you've had plenty of options, but why did you choose Tennessee?
I would definitely say growing up, the Lady Vols were where it was at, and the tradition, I knew about it since I was a kid, and I didn't have them in my mind until they offered me, just because I didn't know if it was a possibility or not. And so as soon as they offered me, I had a ton of interest. And I had seen them previously play a game when I was 13 for my 13th birthday party.
Aww.
So I knew what Tennessee women's basketball was about, right? The legacy, I wanted to be able to build onto that. It was a family atmosphere. Just to know that Pat Summit, built the way for not only the Lady Vol program, but for all women's sports and women in general is huge. And so I wanted to be a part of that. And I'm playing for something bigger than myself. And I felt like Tennessee was the perfect opportunity for me to do that.
Wow, so well put. That's awesome. Your 13th birthday party, that's actually such a cool and fun birthday. I wish I had done something like that for sure. Last time we had you on, you guys hadn't even played a game yet, actually. It was before the season, so we've made it a long way. We've made it even through the SEC tournament at this point. Sara, what has been some of the things that you've learned, even as a senior, throughout this past year?
I mean, I've learned a lot of things, I'll tell you that. I think, just being able to watch the game a lot more has taught me a lot more about it, the ins and outs of it, and be able to use that to my strength as a leader. Whenever I'm leading, especially my younger teammates or transfers that have come in playing in the SEC, I feel like those are the main things, I've learned. And I've learned who I am as a leader, who I want to be, as a leader and as a person, and I feel like I'm striving to do that every single day. And so I just couldn't be more thankful for the teammates I'm surrounded by, and just having people that I can constantly look to for advice and support. And so I'm really grateful to learn who I am fully as a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned leader a lot when you just answered that question. And I don't think everyone realizes how hard it is being a leader. Not only are you looking out for yourself, you're looking out for the entire team. Kind of what has been those challenges this year with being a leader in a completely new system? You're not familiar the same way that someone else would have been if you all had played for Coach Kim Caldwell before this year. You've all learned it together. So what has been that challenge of being a leader this year?
Right. I mean, I established myself as a leader back in the summer, and so people would look to me for answers that I necessarily didn't always know. And so I had to really hone in on knowing what those answers are so that I can be confident. So that way, whenever I give them the answers, they're confident in it as well. And I would also say just, it's a new system, so figuring out how I work as a leader under my current coaching staff and just being myself in that as well. So, yeah.
Well, you've done a great job leading. We've had so many girls on, especially from the basketball team this year, just to have spoke about how the challenges are and how they've gotten through the challenges. So I want to talk a little bit of fun. What has been your most memorable moment so far from this season?
Oh, definitely the UConn game.
Yes. I had a feeling you'd say that.
Yeah, definitely just being within the game itself, we knew how big it was and everything. But to just run with my teammates from alum to alum to the students, that was probably my favorite part. Getting to hug TK on the court side, that was really cool just because she's been through so much with me. And so, yeah, I would definitely have to say, that game and the whole experience after, it was just really fun with my teammates.
Yeah. I've asked all the girls who've come on previously and then currently, so Jill and Z, about how you guys had mentioned how much running and conditioning you've done throughout your entire summer, preseason, and still now. Do you feel like you were properly prepared for the style of play throughout the whole season, and to this day now, that are you able to physically dominate teams the way that was your goal?
Yes, I do feel like it has prepared us, or it did prepare us, and we've been able to exceed those expectations of conditioning in this style of play, because it is like you're giving your all for 2 minutes and then you get a break. But then you're coming right back and you have to do the same thing. And while having your conditioning levels up, you also have to have your physicality. Like the SEC is no soft girl play. It is very much woman play, so you have to be able to, especially with me, with my size, like I'm banging with the post. And so I have to be able to sprint and have my physicality. So I feel like we've definitely been prepared and continue to do it consistently throughout the season of just our strength and fitness.
Absolutely. I think the SEC is no better conference to prepare you for what's next. And speaking of what's next, you guys are right about to start March Madness. So as a senior, been here 4 years, you know what it comes with March Madness. To begin, can you explain how March Madness works for people who might not know exactly what it means to be ranked or to be hosting? Just explain how it works in general.
Right. So it's a tournament of 64 teams, but there are 4 play-in games. So I honestly don't know too much about that. I just know there are 4 playing games. And so
hopefully we never will be, and we haven't been a playing game in a while.
What's important for top 16 teams is that they get to host. And so you get to host the first 2 games and then move on to a regional site. There's 2 regional sites, couldn't tell you where. But then that's where your Sweet 16 is played, your Elite 8, and then you move on to Tampa this year for the Final Four and the National Championship game. And so that's kind of the route it takes. You want to be in the top 16, of course, to be able to host the first 2 and have momentum going into the tournament. I would definitely say, like, as a senior, the main things like we're going to have to focus on are the little details. Like games are nitty and gritty, and it's going to come down to like who wants it more and who's willing to do all of the little things to put you in the best place to succeed.
Those little things. And as a softball player, former softball player, our tournament is double elimination in every single round. So you could have a bad game and you could bounce back and move forward and end up making it out of that round. You guys, it's different. It's one and done. You mentioned those little things. What are some little things that you know now are going to be those key things for you to come out on top of these games?
I would say definitely rebounds is going to be huge, having to out-rebound our opponent. 50-50 balls, diving on the floor for loose balls, getting your hands in the passing lane for deflections to get a steal to go score. And especially with our style of play, like the press that we have, like being aggressive consistently in that, we're going to have to do so that way we can make teams uncomfortable for 40 minutes instead of just 25 or whatever it may be. Those for our team are going to be the 3 keys, and I know that as a senior, with my experience, those are the things we're going to need to hone in on. And so I think we're ready, and I think we're excited to get going.
Yeah. What's the furthest in your 4 years you have been?
I made it to the Sweet 16 twice.
Okay.
So, and I was put out of the first round, or we were put out of the second round last year.
And then when you get to that round of 16, which would have been 2 rounds in, right? Yeah, because 64 is 32. When you get to that round of 16, do you feel like the competition, like, I know it gets better, but like, is there even more pressure, anxiousness, nervousness? Like, what will it take for you guys to get through that round of 16 that maybe you were lacking in previous years?
Yeah, I feel like emotions are definitely heightened, so you have to be able to control those. And I feel like we have a bunch of people that are able to, be calm in those heated moments and those pressure-filled moments. And so to be able to have a few of those is really going to be special for us just because, like I said, like you mentioned, everything is a lot more competitive. And so we've got to be able to raise our standard to that and go above and beyond so that way we can kick teams out and go to the Elite Eight, Final Four, National Championship game.
Yes. Wow, your answers are perfect. I'm just like, I need to take this and implement this into my day-to-day things. Just kind of to wrap it up, this season has had ups and downs, and you have had losses to top-ranked opponents, as well as you've beat UConn. Like, you know how to beat these top-ranked opponents.
Right.
It's one and done, like we said in March Madness. How do you think those losses have prepared you for what can come? You might be down at half against a really good team. Yeah. Do you think you'll go back to use those games to push you guys forward? How do you think those games have helped you?
They've shown us who we really are as a team, and I feel like that's really good for us because we know how good we are and how good we can be, and so we just have to hold each other accountable within the game. Not any moment can't go by that we're not saying something to each other about either encouragement, it's constructive criticism, whatever it is. We're constantly feeding into each other, which we've learned in those specific games. That's what we need because that causes us to not let up. Yeah. And so we do that against the hard teams in the tournament, we're going to be fine. Yeah.
You guys will be fine. And with leadership like you, Sara, you're able to vocalize exactly what needs to be done. That's very special. And so I know I'll be watching. I know Lady Vol Nation will be watching you guys take on this tournament, and we'll be cheering as loud as we can. But thank you so much for coming on, Sara.
Thank you.
As always, if you go to our website, www.ladyvolboostherclub.com, and use the code ALLLadyVolShow, you'll be getting 15% off your first month's membership to support Lady Vol athletes like Sara. So thank you.
Go join it.